Are you ready?
Yeah?
All right.
Here we go.
This is me, driving what might be the strangest looking vehicle ever built, the Aptera. It has 3 wheels, 2 seats, and 4 solar panels, making it the world's first solar-powered electric vehicle capable of driving over 10,000 miles a year on sunshine alone. The company, which is also called Aptera, says that by the end of 2026, it will deliver its first SEV to a customer, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Because the journey to get here started 20 years ago, when Chris Anthony and Steve Fambro set out to build the most efficient vehicle on the road. But just a few years in, both founders were ousted, and it would take a decade before they'd have an opportunity to get behind the wheel again. Now they're back, with even more to prove.
It kind of feels, 10 to 15 years too late.
The least efficient place to put solar is on the car.
To find out if Aptera's comeback story is in for a happy ending, I obviously had to drive one for myself.
Here we go.
Oh no.
You saw the blinker.
And ask its leadership team some difficult questions.
What did it feel like to be asked to leave the company that you founded? How much runway is there? Do you think people really care about 40 additional miles?
This is my investigation into the solar-powered EV 20 years in the making, and the company that refuses to let it die.
When we were getting ready to roll out here, some kids came up to the parking lot.
Oh, yeah?
And they were like, is that a flying car?
Yeah, people get that.
Do you get that all the time? People asking you if it's a flying car?
What is it? Does it fly? All that stuff.
Steve Fambro is the co-founder, co-CEO, and co-creator of the Aptera. He's also a licensed pilot, so he knows a thing or two about actual flying vehicles.
Airplanes are almost, I would say they're the ultimate in terms of pursuit of efficiency. You can't pack infinite fuel on the airplane, but you want to go as far as you can. So it's really the same kind of thinking of designing an airplane that we did with this vehicle, is to say, how do we go as far as we can while having the smallest batteries possible?
Today, I'm only driving the Aptera a few miles around the company's headquarters in Carlsbad. But if I wanted to, I could go 400 miles on a single charge. And while I'm driving it, the vehicle is still charging itself with the sun. No one has ever quite cracked the code on how to mass produce an affordable solar-powered vehicle, even though legacy automakers have been experimenting with solar cells on cars since the 1950s. Here's one that General Motors entered into a racing competition in 1987. More recently, Toyota and Hyundai have dabbled in solar technology by putting it on the roofs of their Prius and Ioniq models, respectively. But in terms of mass producing a vehicle where solar isn't simply a feature, Aptera could be the first.
The sun is kind of coming out, but you see it's still cloudy. So what's going to happen to people, let's say in Berlin or Seattle or places like that, they're still going to get some free miles per day, even with the overcast. They're not going to get as much solar range as they would in Southern California, but it will still be meaningful.
Meaningful is a word the company uses a lot to describe the value of the Aptera's solar range, an extra 4 kilowatt hours per day, or up to 40 additional miles. The vehicle achieves this through its aerodynamic shape, battery pack, and these 4 solar panels, covering its hood, dash, roof, and tail. The company manufactures all of them in-house, using patented technology. And that's how they get them to curve like this without cracking. When sunlight hits these panels, it generates an electric current that's boosted and then stored directly in the vehicle's high-voltage battery. Next to the smallest EVs on the market, the Aptera's battery capacity is even smaller. But because it was designed from the ground up to waste as little energy as possible, the Aptera can travel further than all of these models. The last piece of Aptera's solar efficiency equation is its ability to reduce aerodynamic drag, the force of air pushing against a moving vehicle that causes it to slow down. The Aptera's design minimizes that resistance. Smooth curves, tapered lines, and almost nothing sticking out.
Tell me about the wheels, because I'm wondering like why they sort of jut out from the body of the vehicle.
What we want to do is to minimize the frontal area. And if we were to package the wheels in the vehicle, we'd have to make the frontal area a lot bigger to account for that, to hide them. So by taking them out, we're able to minimize the frontal area on the vehicle so that we still keep the drag low.
To me, like when I originally saw it, it looked almost like a fish.
If you think of fish, when they're swimming in the free stream, they look very symmetrical. But this isn't symmetrical, it's cambered, so it's higher on top than the bottom. What scientists now realize is that when fish swim very close to the ocean floor, those that do that will kind of arch their back to lower the drag, to make it easier to swim, because nature hates inefficiency.
Creating the world's most efficient EV is what inspired Steve and his co-founder, Chris Anthony, to found Aptera in 2006. This is the Play-Doh version of the original Aptera model that Chris and Steve submitted to NASA to measure its drag. It was so good that Chris says,
we had to explain to 6 NASA engineers on a call why our particular shape defeated ground effect, and we figured, hey, if we've stumped NASA, then we're probably onto something pretty good here.
Over the next several years, Steve and Chris turned their efficiency experiment into a full-time business, creating the very first prototype and raising $42 million from investors. But by 2009,
we left the company.
So you were asked to leave?
Okay, wait. So before Steve answers that question, Aptera is the ultimate example of a brand that faced extinction and then lived to tell about it. They literally hit rock bottom and then used that as the foundation to build the SEV company you see today. It's exactly the kind of stuff our team analyzes in depth in the Business Comeback Playbook. It's a breakdown of 7 iconic brands that clawed back from near-death experiences, and it's a literal blueprint for how to handle the biggest crises in business. It gives you the exact 4-stage roadmap these companies used to navigate their way back to profitability. More importantly, it lists the red flags you need to watch out for right now so that you can fix the problems before they become fatal. It's a super easy to read PDF that you can refer back to whenever things get difficult in your own business. It's free. Just click the link below or scan the QR code on the screen.
To be honest, the board said, look, we can't have both you guys here. And we think that the management team that we hired to do the new goals for the company, which they wanted to make a 4-wheel car and a 4-door car, and all these kinds of things, they felt that they were better suited for that, and so they kind of showed us the door.
Chris and Steve also went their separate ways, starting ventures in lithium battery manufacturing and vertical farming. Meanwhile, Aptera's new management team went bankrupt. Eventually, the company's name and logo were up for grabs, and that's how Steve and Chris reacquired them, starting what Steve calls the new Aptera in 2019. By 2024, Aptera reported it had raised one of the largest crowdfunding rounds ever and secured nearly 50,000 customer pre-orders for its vehicle. Fast forward to today, and Aptera is fresh from celebrating the first vehicle to roll off its validation assembly line. In automotive terms, validation is the critical bridge between prototype and production. It's where pre-production vehicles are built and tested before hitting the market. It's a huge milestone for the company, and some might even say for the automotive industry as a whole.
Why hasn't anyone done it until now? Why has it taken this long?
The legacy process of designing vehicles just won't allow for it.
Tony Curtin is a 24-year veteran of the global automotive industry and became Aptera's chairman of the board in January 2026.
What I admire most about what they've done is they were led by what I would think of as like the physics of automotive efficiency. You can't just put solar onto an electrically powered SUV because it's too heavy. And the air drag is so bad that the solar is not going to help it much at all, if at all. So the only way you can make solar work is with something that looks like the Aptera.
Nailing the vehicle's aerodynamic design is one thing. But what does it actually take to build the Aptera? And how does that differ from the rest of the industry?
This vehicle has about 6 main structural parts, and they're all bonded and fixtured in this precision tool right here.
That doesn't feel like a lot of parts.
No, it's a fraction of what a typical car has. Typical car has over 100, 150 parts. They have to be trimmed, they have to be positioned, welded in place, and that's why there's a lot of complexity and a lot of cost than setting up a new car line. This vehicle has 10 total body parts, but 6 structural parts.
That level of simplicity makes the Aptera a lot faster and cheaper to build, which is one way the company is able to keep its launch edition vehicle price tags under $40,000. Another way is through its method for building the vehicle itself. Its lightweight aluminum frame and carbon body are assembled on 2 separate tracks simultaneously, before meeting at what Steve calls the marriage station, allowing Aptera's assembly line to operate with less space and less automation than a traditional auto plant.
We're getting started with these tools and processes, which will let us get through validation and let us actually begin shipping vehicles to customers.
As of April 2026, Aptera is in the process of building 10 validation vehicles, with a goal to build 60 by the end of the year. And one of those, the company says, will go directly to its very first customer.
Is there a world in which you don't fulfill the first customer's order by the end of the year?
No, I'm very confident about that. We have most everything we need right now, and we're getting the rest of the things that we need in order to do that.
They're saying they're going to deliver 1 by the end of the year is different from we're like scaling up hundreds of them for delivery.
This is EV adoption expert Lauren McDonald, who's been following trends in the global EV market for the last 10 years.
Before I got into EV space, I spent, most of my career in the marketing world. You have to think about, who your buyers are and market segments and how you're going to reach and attract those people.
Aptera says it's marketing its vehicle to 4 key customer segments: the engineer, the environmentalist, the cost cutter, and the person who wants one just because it's unique. That last category of buyers is potentially Aptera's biggest, but
we think that commercial vehicles could be a larger segment for us than consumer vehicles long term, because fleets really care about the cost per mile and the total cost of ownership.
How cool would this be for like pizza delivery and food delivery and things like that? I know a lot of companies that got the Cybertruck and they put a wrap on it just for the branding, because you can't not look at it.
with only 3 wheels, the Aptera is not only eye-catching, it's technically an autocycle, giving it a regulatory advantage that makes it easier and faster to bring to market than a traditional car. Still, in terms of EV adoption in general, compared to the rest of the world, the US is
way behind.
Does that change the go-to-market strategy at all?
I don't think that matters to us. I think it would matter to us if we were a Ford, electric Ford, but we're not. I am convinced that the first Aptera in the neighborhood is just the first of several. People are going to want one.
If they had come out with this in, 2010 or something like that, it would have really captured the attention of a lot of people, including those automaker executives. But there are going to be more than 25 new fully electric EVs coming to the US market this year. 25 just this year. That said, if they're able to deliver this at the price points that they're targeting, they can hit that. That's a significant, reasonable price point.
But will enough people actually want to buy one?
Reservations and pre-orders are not a very reliable indicator of actual purchases. 50,000, that's like in the EV space, that's nothing.
Other startups have collapsed under the financial pressure of bringing an SEV to market. The Dutch startup Lightyear was supposed to start deliveries in 2022, but the company went bankrupt before that could happen. As a company, Lightyear is still around, but has since pivoted away from its SEV to become a supplier of solar technology to other automakers, which is something Aptera is considering too.
We're more than willing to license our technology, and we're having those discussions right now with other companies.
Other car companies?
Absolutely. It allows more journeys to be powered by the sun, and that's our vision.
What is the biggest concern right now?
Any startup vehicle company, the number one concern is money. They're never not raising money, so we're no different.
In October 2025, Aptera went public with a direct listing on the NASDAQ, opening itself up to a broader pool of investors and a new avenue for raising the capital it still needs. and it still needs quite a bit. The company is aiming to raise between $45 and $50 million to get to initial production. Beyond that, Aptera will need between $140 and $200 million to scale production and eventually manufacture hundreds of thousands of units. Within the next 8 years, Aptera's goal is to get 1 million of its SEVs on the road. And some of those, the company says, could be four-wheel editions. But even as a more traditional EV, Aptera still doesn't identify itself within the broader EV landscape.
Tesla did an amazing job, kind of breaking ground in the EV space and showing people that EVs are possible. We want to, invent a whole new market category, which is, not just that EVs are possible, but self-powered EVs are possible.
I'm convinced as much or more than I ever was that this is the right path. I mean, we're so close to shipping vehicles. We've never been this close before.
Is this the vehicle that you saw in your mind's eye in 2006?
Oh, I mean, yes, but much better.
And so is the timing, according to Chris and Steve.
I do think that maybe, 5 or 10 years ago was a bit too early because people didn't even understand electric vehicles.
I think the world needs this product. The world's ready for it. We've got customers willing to buy it, so our job is clear.
What's not yet clear is how Aptera could shake up the EV market once its SEV hits the road. And it makes me think about the disruption potential in other industries, like manufacturing. To see a startup that's actively challenging how things get made in America, check out my video on the founder who accidentally built the Amazon of manufacturing. There's a story of resilience baked in there too. But if you want more detailed insights into some of the biggest companies that fell and fought back, don't forget to download our Business Comeback Playbook. And let me know in the comments if you have a company in mind that's redefining what's possible in a major industry.